Hey guys, welcome to JasonWhiskyWise. Myself, Jason, bringing you whiskey review number 74, where today we're going to review the Glengoyne Teapot Dram, which is a distillery exclusive. So I'm going to pour myself a dram and get started with the review. Now, if you guys don't already know, I went up to Scotland for around about 4 days and I got to visit 7 distilleries, and this was one of the distilleries that I fell in love with in Scotland. So you see that, I'll pop that over here. And it was such a good whiskey that I decided I would pick up another bottle. And actually, you'll see that there. So I picked up 2 bottles of this Glengoyne Teapot Dram. And one thing I do is when I go to distilleries, I'll try the distillery exclusive, as the core ranges, if you can buy them anywhere, effectively, sometimes not worth buying them at the distillery. It's just worth buying something that's an exclusive. But it's completely optional depending on how you feel and what you like. So I'm going to give a little bit of a reading from the actual bottle, and you're going to see a little bit of the bottle on screen. And I'll read an excerpt from the front over here. It says over here, until the 1970s, Glengoyne workers enjoyed a thrice daily dram that was flowed from the bashed copper teapot in the distillery canteen. Recreated by the men with a vague recollection of those days, our tribute is teeming with brown sugar, sweet fruits, and soft spices. So that's the Glengoyne Teapot Dram, and I'll also just flip it over for you guys, and you'll see on the back there it gives you a little information about sort of the life at Glengoyne and all the signatures from everyone in the distillery, like the warehouse man, the mash man, the still man, distillery manager, etc., etc. So you'll see that up on screen right now. So to begin our whiskey review, we're going to start off with the sort of my whiskey review style structure of this whiskey, and it begins with the age of this one, and this is a no age statement whiskey, so it's an NAS whiskey. In terms of the ABV, it's bottled at 59.6% ABV. The cask selection of this one, and I love how it's actually written on the front of the bottle over there, it says nurtured in first fill Oloroso sherry casks. So you're getting first fill Oloroso sherry, really well looked after. Now the distillery itself is the Glengoyne Distillery, which you can see over there, the parent company Ian McLeod Distillers, and the region is from the Highlands of Scotland. Even though Glengoyne is literally on the line between, well, the actual warehouses are maturing in the lowlands, the distillery is based in the Highlands, which is really interesting. Now the price of this bottle, it is £90 if you just go to the distillery and buy it, or it's £80 if you purchase any distillery ticket. So that means if you spend £10 on the Glengoyne tour, or the weed tasting tour, or even up to the Malt Masters tour, it goes down by £10. So £80 effectively if you go for a tour. Exclusivity wise, yes, it is exclusive, as it is a distillery bottling, and there is batches for this one. This is batch number 5, and I believe it's 3,138 bottles in this batch, so very limited. And in terms of caramel colour, it is natural colour, and it's written all over the bottle and on the tin, so all natural colour in this whiskey. So let's begin by assessing the colour of this whiskey, and you can see there it does have a nice rich colour to it. It does look very similar to the 25 in appearance. And I'm going to go again with the mahogany on this one, but maybe even a little bit of a chestnut brown, as it does have a little hint of that in there. It's quite a nice rich colour. So let's begin by assessing the nose of this whiskey. So into the nose. To begin the nose on this whiskey, you get the distillery distinctive style, those red apples really working their way through, and then it moves into sort of more darker fruits, and you're talking now more raisins, quite very ripe, rich, succulent raisins. A little bit of prunes, a bit of dark plums, quite nice and rich with the skins on, giving that a little bit of a waxy sort of note to it as well. Not really waxy, but sort of a tannins note to it. You get sort of like dark cherry really coming through, and you get even that bit of brown sugar as it gives a little bit of time. Let this open up, you get that brown muscovado sugar really working its way through, and that's exactly what they said on the tin over there. I'm getting it on the nose. You're even getting notes of sort of like dark chocolate, but this is not heavy dark chocolate. This is like sort of, I'd say, around about 50 to 60% dark chocolate. Not overpowering, but just well enough that it just gives you that little bit of dark sweetness. And then behind that, you're getting a faint peppery, so I'd say a white peppery spice that works its way through the nose, and a slight soft leathery note, more like a worn leathery item. giving itself through onto the nose. So rather interesting, quite complex. Not as complex as the 25, but really so well, easily noseable at around about almost 50, almost 60%. It is so easy to nose this whiskey. So next move into the palate. So into the palate. My initial impressions of the palate of this whiskey. Wow. It's rich, it's powerful, it's waxy, it has a very full texture. The longer you actually leave it on the palate, the more it develops, it becomes creamy. It is just all over, it's mouth coating, to say it in one, but really nice. You get a little bit of notes of sweet tobacco working their way through sort of the mid and the sides of the palate. You get those sherry fruit notes really coming through, and this is the heavy, rich sherry notes, which I'll get through in a second, but also a little bit of that leathery note, and I get this a lot with the older Glengoyne. It's quite a nice leathery note, soft oak, and then a slight note of like a walnut whip, which is like a chocolate, but it's actually like a cream coated in chocolate and then a walnut placed on the top. And you're taking a bite out of that and you're getting a combination of all three flavors all in one bite, and it's wow. So I'm gonna have a second sip, see what else we can uncover, and we'll see in the second sip. From the second sip, I'm getting a bit more spices now, a little bit of that peppercorn. It's like a black peppercorn crushed and crackling. You get that little burst of spice that warms the palate. You do get a very nice, also rich sherry note that comes through. And this is like raisins again, as I mentioned before, plums, prunes, dark cherries, all playing themselves back on the middle of the palate. As you work again further through, you get a little bit of almost like a citrusy note. And I'm going to say it's like dark chocolate infused with orange. So it's like you're taking a bite of that dark chocolate with a bit of orange zest inside. You get a little citrusy, bitter chocolate sweetness, which is just really working so well together. And even a slight note of hazelnuts, which round it out. It reminds me a bit of Nutella. Really well and very smooth. Right on the end, you get a little burst again with spice. And this is more towards, I'd say, a gingery warmth, like a candied ginger. It's lovely. So I think that concludes it for the nose and the palate. So let's next move into the finish of this whiskey. Into the finish of this whiskey. The finish of this one is very nice, long, very, very long. The spices sort of, you get those mouth-warming spices. You're getting a bit of sherry character. A little bit of very nice treacle, but slightly toasted. You get those tannins notes as well. And a slight nutty oakiness that just works its way around the palate very well. So I think that's about it for the actual palate. So I'm going to finish this off. You get a slight dry, woody oakiness, but it reminds me a little bit of like having, if you have a black tea or loose black tea, because I do a lot of that, a lot of different teas, but it gives you that little bit of that dryness that sort of you have at sort of the back of the palate, not really the front, maybe a bit of the sides. Rather interesting, even though they don't use any tea in that one. So overall, that's my sort of conclusion of this whiskey. In terms of my comments and my review, actually my rating, I'm actually going to go much, because I've just recently reviewed the 21-25 cask strength and the Teapot Dram all together in quick succession. I'm going to go with this. I'm giving it a 95 out of 100. It is just mind-blowingly good. And if you actually check my notes on my blog, you'll see I called it a super dram, and then I put, whoa, this is something that I feel you have to explore. If you get a chance to go to the distillery, even if you're a whiskey drinker or not, you'll love it over there. The atmosphere is fantastic, and I'll explain that more in the distillery video. But my friend, who's actually not even a whiskey drinker himself, I took him along with me, and he bought 2 bottles of this because he loved it. So it just goes to show how fantastic this whiskey is. Really great stuff. A powerful sherry, so I'd say a sherry bomb. I was going to say a sherry bomb candidate, but it's not really a candidate. It's over there. It's like a master in itself because it's got such roundness and such smoothness to the whiskey, but at the same time giving you that little spicy aspect. So in terms of value for money, the reason I've given it a 95 is because I think in terms of value for money, it's cheaper than the 21 and the 25. For what it offers on the palate from nose to finish is just fantastic. It's just superb. Great value for money in that sense, and I've given it a double plus in terms of value for money. In terms of water, you can if you wish. It does reduce to what I remember, it reduced the spice aspect, but then it also did drastically reduce texture. So that is a optional thing if you do like to reduce the texture. add water to it. But just drink this whiskey for what it is. It is super in that sense. In terms of adding time, it's optional. It doesn't really do a massive amount, but then at the same time, if you do leave it for a lengthy period, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, you're looking at the whiskey completely subduing, but at the same time still remaining as a powerhouse. But the spice sort of does dip quite considerably. So if you don't want to add water and you want to give it some time, by all means, you'll love the texture of the whiskey as well, because the spice does reduce. So fantastic whiskey all in all, 95 out of 100. If you get a chance to visit Glengoyne's distillery, whatever you buy from the distillery, if you can, add one of these to your basket. It is superb. And if you also want, the lady over there offered me free delivery. It was free delivery if you spend £50 or more. So even if you're buying like a 15 or 18-year-old, you're getting free delivery. So I bought 2 of these, and when I go back next, I'm probably going to pick up a couple more because it just goes really quickly and it's just a fantastic dram. So if you guys have enjoyed the review, by all means feel free to drop it a thumbs up. Be sure to check out the 25-year-old Glengoyne here. I believe the 18 should be here and the 21 should be here. Or 18, 21, 25, and my subscribe button over there. So on that note, I'm going to wrap the video here. If you have enjoyed, drop it a thumbs up. If you have enjoyed, by all means click the subscribe button. Stay tuned for more whiskey reviews. And this has been JasonWhiskyWise, and I'll catch you all for the next video.